call this meeting to order of the trustees of the Mangum City Hospital Authority. If we could have a roll call.
Lively.
Here.
Ford.
Here.
Van Zandt.
Yes.
Hopper. Webb.
Here. I believe that makes us have a quorum.
Yes.
Okay. On the consent agenda, does anybody have any items that they wish to remove from the consent agenda to talk about?
I'd make a motion to approve the consent agenda as it is.
I'll second it.
If we could call for a vote?
Lively.
Yes.
Ford.
Yes.
Van Zandt.
Yes.
Webb.
Yes.
Okay. Do we have any remarks or inquiries by the audience not pertaining to any item on the agenda? Looks like a negatory. Moving on to item number 8, financial report for October of 2024.
Okay, let's go over the board packet for October. All right, the average daily census for the month was 7.26. This is up half a day from September and down 3 days from the year-to-date average. The acute payer mix for October was 55% for Medicare and Medicare managed care, with the prior month being 72%. This is also down from the year-to-date average of 76%. The swing bed payer mix for October was 91% for Medicare and 9% for Medicare managed care. The year-to-date average for Medicare is 88% and Medicare managed care is 11%. The operating margin is a loss of $2,000, which is down $79,000 from September. Net patient revenue was $1.5 million for the month, which is an increase of $109,000 from September and up $151,000 from the year-to-date monthly average. 340B revenue was $20,000 for October, which is right in line where it was in September. Operating expenses are at $1.53 million for October, which is up $66,000 from the year-to-date monthly average. Patient days for October were at 225. This is an increase of 21 days from September. Cash receipts for the month were $1.78 million, an increase of $596,000 from last month. Cash disbursements were at $1.53 million for October. Our cash balance at the end of the month was $1.15 million. That gives us about 23 days of cash on hand, which is great. For the clinic, the October average visits per day were 6.64. The year-to-date revenue for the clinic was at $349,000. Operating expenses were at $710,000. This was resulting in a year-to-date net loss of $361,000. And right now, the projected loss for the year for the RHC is $433,000. Yeah. Do you guys have any questions or concerns?
Is there any way we could pull and see what our loss was for the last 4 years on the clinic?
Sure can.
And start looking at how much we lost in 2023 and 2022 and see if we're up. Because to me, in my head, I was thinking we had an average loss of around $200,000 to $300,000 in the clinic, and we probably need to look at why are we up an extra $133,000 or possibly $200,000 yearly loss for the clinic, and then maybe start brainstorming ideas to lessen our loss. And then my other question would be, our losses at being that high, is that helping us on the cost report? Is that helping us in some manner in which I'm unfamiliar with? Well,
That time when the clinic had a loss of like $6 million, our annualized loss for this year is $1 million. So we've gone from $6 million
That is great.
clinic piece as well.
Yeah, kind of pulling the clinic out separately and looking at what our losses were starting in 2020 to now, just in the clinic, focusing in on the clinic. Because I wanted to say on average, we were losing around 200,000 from 21 and 2020. And just kind of trying to figure in and hone in why we've seen such a massive jump in loss in revenue at the clinic.
Sure can.
And I could be completely wrong. We may have been losing 600,000, and I just have it stuck in my head at 200,000.
No, it's not a problem whatsoever. We can track that, we can track that down. We
No
have a
worries.
separate trial balance that we keep just for the clinic alone.
Yeah.
So we should be able to access that and create that for you, not a problem.
Okay.
Sort of on the same lines, but a little different. I was just curious, have we considered bringing in like a specialized folks once a month or once every other month, specifically like an endocrinologist, things like that? Because I know, just from personal experience, I'm up at OU.
Yep.
And I happen to be sitting there and two other people from this area were there at the same time I was. And it just makes more sense to be able, trust me, I would much rather go here than go to Oklahoma City.
We do have cardiologists that come to the clinic once a month, and that's from the Integris group. It's getting the providers that are willing to come out here. I don't know how much conversation has been had at like that level of like endocrinology and stuff like that, but we are always looking for people. If they're interested in coming out here to come into our clinic, absolutely.
And the only reason I say that, like even for my family, like on
And
this
I
thing,
can answer that really quick, Phyllis, point. And just to give you a very high level and short version, you know, and I'll use Edmond where I live, it's not the best analysis, but it'll get to the point. A lot of providers in urban cities, they're not paid even the salaries because they're fine with taking professional fees and they eat what they kill. And the reason why, like even where I go, there's over 100 clinic visits a day.
Yeah.
Our providers in clinics, and this is why Medicare tries to just do cost reimbursement, you won't get a provider come out there and work for that. Why? Because if they tried to eat what they kill, they'd starve to death. So your clinics are having to cover an overhead just for the provider alone, and you've got a limited amount of volumes. So that's a big chunk. The other part is from a cost report standpoint, and what you asked, we also allocate part of the hospital's costs over to the clinic as well. And that's something we separately isolate. And so it does help us on the cost report. And the final third thing is this. Because our costs per visit are so high, which is unavoidable for the most part, Medicare, again, is our best payer, and they only pay us half. So let's say on average our cost per visit is $250 to $300. Well, the commercial payers that we have, like Blue Cross and Blue Shield, they only pay us about $85 a visit because we don't have any really negotiating power. We are not the, elephant in the living room or the gorilla with all the power. So you're having to take, in a urban setting, Blue Cross and Blue Shield is your best payer, generally speaking, or commercials. Here, they're paying us, we're looking to get a third of what our costs are. So that's another thing.
So I think one thing he's saying is you're not getting a true picture of it year to year because you're getting reimbursed more the year after you lost 400,000.
Yeah.
And then if your costs go down, then as you know, we have to give them back. It's the same scenario as with the hospital. So you never, so having a bottom line is not, in regular retail businesses, having a bottom line is crucial. In this one, it's not necessarily.
I think though my scare is that we're at, on average, 7 visits a month, okay, which is gonna be roughly 155 visits. That puts us at over 5. Our cost to see a patient in that clinic is at $5,500 a visit. And there's no way we're gonna get that anywhere
Well,
near.
I thought I saw the numbers were much higher this month.
They
Was it
were
like
at
202?
They were at 202 total visits, 183 provider visits, so they were up about 23, yeah, 'cause we were averaging 160. They were up. Now, do take in mind, Dr. Sanda's only been allowed to see Medicare because he wasn't credentialed with any other insurances. That has since been taken care of, so he can see any payer now. So his numbers should increase over time because he can see Medicare, Medicaid, managed Medicare, so all of them are now, and third-party payers.
But if we're only seeing on average 7 patients a day, and we've got 2 providers, there's no way we can cover our spread. And that, to me, it's very, very worrisome that we could be putting our hospital at jeopardy financially.
Well, Carson, to that point, you know, I will say this, in addition to Medicare for the clinic, Medicaid managed care, or this used to be traditional Medicaid, but that's also they pay the same all-inclusive rate. So if he is able to do that, that will help put a big dent in that as well. The other part is we get 340B revenue, which is helping to offset that cost. But going back to what you originally requested, and we will do that because we need to do that anyway, and that is, let's look at the trends from 2020 or 2021 back and just see exactly what the connection, you know, how far apart we are. I've done it with the clinics and hospital combined, but it would be worth seeing and showing just on the clinic by itself.
Yeah. I would just
That would be good.
Yes, please. That'd be great for next meeting, just to have some sort of clue as, hey, this is normal losses, or this is abnormally high losses. We need to start looking.
When the community sees that the providers will be here next year, 6 months from now, 2 years from now, they may see more than 7 patients a day.
Yeah.
I've had the same PCP for over 20 years. You know, people don't like to change doctors any more than they want to change dentist or hairstylist or anybody else. Until there is some consistency that is guaranteed at the clinic, it's not gonna change. And people have to know that they can trust, when I go there next week, I'm not gonna get a new provider. That's gonna have to be known in the community.
But we
and
gotta
then
get the
people will
word
stay.
out on that as well, because if I wasn't sitting on this board, I wouldn't know that we had 2 new physicians, 2 new
So I mean,
practitioners.
not only do they need to know that they're available, they need to know that they're gonna be here
Yeah.
consistently.
Yes.
I will say, I thought I heard maybe an advertisement or something
You should've.
recently.
On 97.7 KHIM, is that?
Yeah.
Mhm. And we
About the
have it-
new
we have it on
providers,
there.
yeah.
We have it on, in the paper, it's also during the breaks of the games.
Well, I think that's where I actually heard it was
That's one
watched.
of the programs y'all approved for the
Yeah.
$110 a month for advertisement for the clinic and the hospital.
And I would just make a point that just take a picture of the practitioner, put it on Facebook,
It's there. We have
But-
both.
spend $50 and boost it and make sure everybody in town sees it. Or you can specifically target anybody who goes to Elk City or Jackson County Clinic right there. You can actually specifically target them. And $50 could buy that ad for,
SEO stuff.
yes. And we can make sure everybody in town sees it on their Facebook.
Okay. Let's put some money that way.
Welcome. Okay, any other questions for the financial report? Now we're gonna have to rein it in and act all right since our attorney's here. Okay, if there are no further questions, let's move on to item number 9. Cybersecurity. This is the whole reason all of us are here today.
How y'all doing today? My name is Calvin Harley. I work with Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. We are a component of Department of Homeland Security, and we are the nation's cyber security defense. And what we offer is we try to help infrastructure, whether private or public, mitigate risk, vulnerabilities to their networks. And also, we come in and we do assessments. We start from, we are walk, crawl, and run kind of phase. So if organization is just starting out, we do a basic assessment so we can see, and they can see where their resilience at, their cybersecurity resilience. Or we can do more advanced. And we also do, to coincide with that, we do tabletop exercises. We come in and we sit down and we work with you to develop a scenario, and you bring in your players, and we are there on site with you to talk to you about which way you want to go, and you react, or you see how your personnel come together as a team. And we also have workshops, and all these are free of charge. And we also have some protective security advisors where they can come out and look at your avenues of approach, or they can look at your security of facilities. And we work with schools, anything within your government, we try to assist. And the package I just passed out, those are the resources that we have that is free of charge to the community of Manning. Anybody have any questions?
So, with regards to this, or with regards to the information we got prior?
Y'all got something prior?
Well, we got the report card, it looks like a draft, and I'm assuming that's of the hospital.
No, that's just what they've sent us, to kind of show you what we'll get.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, this
Okay.
that's just what you would get in
Okay.
your reports.
Okay.
No, they have not done anything.
So you're
for our
going
facility
to be
until y'all
scanning.
tell us we can.
Oh, okay.
What we're
Okay.
asking for is permission for you guys to work with these guys, so it's free of charge. We just need permission to engage in working with this.
Okay, I read the report like it was a draft
I
of
did
the
too,
report
yes.
fixing to come out, and I was actually a little concerned.
Yeah.
Actually, I thought we did better than what I expected. Okay. Okay. Well, that's good.
So, the vote tonight, or the discussion tonight would be to approve them to be able to, you guys work with them, okay? Sorry.
And
I
so the
mis-
kicker
There's
is,
understood the
no,
entire
there's no
thing.
agreement tied to it at all, correct, Chad?
Right,
And
there's no agreement you guys need signed, it's just, you guys verbally, he's here that gives consent, we can engage and start working together. So like I said, we'll start with the walk, crawl, methods, though.
Well, I completely read that differently.
I think what we sent out initially, that's what Mark gave us, and stuff, that was examples and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what I sent to the board, just so
Right.
they didn't see the examples, yes.
Okay.
cool. So the kicker to this is because the hospital is owned by the city of Mangum, that's what allows us to do this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. Well, I would like to make a motion that we approve.
I'll second that. Lively,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Van Zant,
Yes.
Hopper,
Yes.
Webb.
Yes. Will we get a very similar report
Yes, sir.
as that draft report?
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
No, thank you for coming all the way out here for this.
Yeah, once the reports start coming out, you guys will get a copy of every report that comes to us.
I'd be curious to see what it looks like compared to this one.
Me too.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to item number 10, discussion possible action to approve eClinical work order for the interface between eClinic Works and TrueBridge in the Mangum Clinic.
So what this is as y'all know, currently, we do not have an interface between ECW and TrueBridge. Clinic uses ECW, we use TrueBridge. So when the clinic sends a patient to the hospital to have blood drawn, none of those reports for lab work are coming over to the ECW platform. The nurses have to go into TrueBridge, the providers have to go into TrueBridge, find that piece of lab that they've reviewed, that they ordered, review it, scan it into ECW. This agreement will take that out. To where it'll automatically flow. So if they order a CBC through ECW, it'll come over to TrueBridge. TrueBridge, when we result it in the lab, it will flow back to ECW. And there won't be paper, nothing will be scanned in. It will cut down provider and nurse time and possibility of missing labs, human error, missing a lab that's critically high, critically low, that just gets misplaced because it didn't fax. We all know fax machines fail because that's currently how they're doing it. They fax the result over to the clinic has to review it, sign off on it, scan it into the chart, saying that they reviewed it. So this directional interface, this bidirectional interface from ECW is, and again, there's 3 different agreements here. They all look about the same. This one is for ECW to interface with us. It's a cost of $5,000 one time, and then a 18% annual maintenance fee on that also, which
How much percent?
18% of the $5,000 one-time fee for the length of the agreement. So at any time, we can say, turn off the interface, and that $900 goes away, but you don't get your $5,000 back.
So, when I was looking at this.
Yes, sir.
The work order says the 5,000, but then the little attachment,
The
that
cost.
summary sheet
Yeah.
says $0, but it's to a different entity.
It is, and that something was going on with my OneDrive, and my stuff was not updating, so that summary sheet is not accurate,
So it's 5,000 one-time cost
and a $900 annual.
fee.
Yep,
So 5,900 this year, or just 5,000?
5,900, or, let me look at it real quick, let me get it pulled up. Because I have it right here. It doesn't really lay it out. It says the $5,000 one-time lab or radiology bidirectional lab results and orders within TrueBridge, $5,000. And then it says the annual maintenance fee
The 18%.
is 18%. Maintenance fee is calculated as 18% of the one-time configuration fee is listed above. Maintenance fee to be billed annually until interface is shut down. So it doesn't say when it starts.
So what's the project management fee then? Is that in addition to as well? That's
If we go over the $5,000, like how much time they allotted for that, of the 8 hours, or they allotted for the $5,000 fee. If we go over that, say they can't get something interfaced, they charge us $750 a day to work on it, to get it to work.
Okay,
Why did we choose ECW if it doesn't communicate with the hospital?
That was prior to my time, and from what I understand, a provider. TrueBridge was not really built well for the clinic. It was built mainly for a hospital. ECW is built for clinic, built for speed. That's kind of why they wanted it at the clinic. It works well, it's easy to manipulate in. That's why I'm guessing they went with it.
To make our money back, it's $2.70 per clinic visit for 1 year. And we're already losing $680-something thousand at the clinic. We're only seeing 7 patients a day. Why can we not email this stuff over to the clinic instead of faxing it? Is there some sort of?
It's called the SFAX, so it goes over, it comes straight from TrueBridge to the clinic. It's called an SFAX, but the fax line has to be up. It goes straight to them and it prints off. We're not physically faxing, like typing in a number, but it does come through the fax machine and then it gets scanned in.
Why don't they electronically send it from TrueBridge
Well,
to
you
a
know, with the
computer?
way the world is with cyber.
So usually you don't whip by email, you do an interface, that's the reason.
Yeah.
why
But
they do the
literally,
interfaces, so.
the entire other world does not operate by paper, like anything. Like-
Well, but I'll tell you, at least from my standpoint, like, in order for me to email something out of my office,
Yeah.
it has to go through this whole rigmarole of secure
Encryption.
encryption and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
And-
The person that receive it in has to set up a password,
Yep.
and have to use the password. That somebody's Yeah, or it
And it's-
expires, and then you have to get a new lane.
And it ends up being more problematic than just sending a fax sometimes.
Yeah.
My question, I'm going back to the 750
Yes.
per day. Help me understand what the 8-hour encompasses as far as like, I guess I'm not wrapping my head around that.
I can't, again, this is their stuff. They just put this, I have no idea what their 8-hour encompasses. I guess it's working on the actual interface, the build of it, because,
I've not seen any of the other ones go over the $5,000 limit. The other hospitals that have done this, the $5,000 covers the full implementation of
Yeah.
this. So I've not seen any of the other ones do the extra $750. The $5,000 covers them. We've done this now, what, 3 other locations, so.
So if it were to go down and they're having to come back out,
It's just an interface, so all they do is, we have like a script that each side sets up, and they just marry the data up, and then you turn it on, and then it's communicates, so, and then.
but he's saying if the interface goes down,
If
they're
the
not
interface
gonna, they're
goes
not gonna
down,
charge us $750 a
They won't
day.
charge you anything to go back and do it. You'll just see one end, then it's just tech support then.
Okay.
So it's not covered.
so it's
under
just the
that.
initial setup.
It's just the initial setup. So once the interface goes down, once it's set up, then you're past that part of it. Now you go into live production, so then it's just a normal ticket that you go in.
Is
That's
this just for lab coming from out here to the clinic?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, my gosh, we could have a courier from out there, bring it down. I mean, we're not that far apart and we're not that busy. Can't be
So
that much.
every meeting, it seems like we have a new interface. Again, a new interface, and it's a one-time fee
Yep.
of a mere $5,000.
Yep.
Or 10,000.
And a maintenance fee of whatever for the same stuff every time. At
This
what
is-
point do you say enough's enough and change systems altogether, because it's gonna be cheaper in the long run? I mean, that's, because none of these
that-
systems talk to each other. The
And-
hospital system doesn't talk to the clinic.
That would be, because it's a corporate agreement with ECW, well,
Right, but
the agreement with the ECW and the hospital is with y'all. But we do have an agreement with True Bridge that kind of, they waive all their fees for us.
But nothing is communicating. It would be so much cheaper for the provider to write out their lab order on a script pad, drive up to the hospital, get it done.
That's what they're doing
And then somebody just
currently.
to send it on down.
That's currently what they're doing. They're writing it on an order sheet. They send it with the patient to the hospital or faxing it. And then the hospital performs it and then does the S-Fax straight from True Bridge. They type in, they like choose Mangum Clinic and the fax number's already pre-populated, hit enter, and it goes. But it
Because if
goes
it's
to their
truly that
fax machine.
critical of a value, you should be calling the provider anyway.
We do have critical lab values set up.
I
That is
mean,
correct.
You know, you're not relying on a fax to handle the critical lab value.
And our
or-
nurses or our
So,
lab calls any provider that has a critical lab value, whether
Right.
it's Dr. Robinson at Elk City, Dr. Leverett at Altus. If it's a critical lab on a patient drawn here, they call.
I mean, it seems like every time we turn around, they want another $5,000 to communicate with a interface somewhere that doesn't like this interface over there.
For a $10,000 piece of software.
And if we,
Yeah, and we're up to like.
Which is a
spending-
little bit crazy.
Which we're up to like 20,000 in spending so far.
and from what I gather, if we go to radiology, it'll be another 5,000 if we decide to interface radiology.
See, I'm wondering why you're not doing radiology first, because
Not busy enough.
the regs have gotten so tight on
Yeah.
Medicare paying for,
Yep.
in the,
Just
CT
not busy
scans
enough.
and that sort of thing.
Truthfully, our outpatient radiology, we might see 2 a day. We're seeing more lab come through. That's why we presented the lab and not the radiology.
So where did it originate? Who originated it? I mean, I don't mean names, but what group originated this request?
The clinic, because they're going back and forth between True Bridge and ECW. They just wanted them better streamlined so they're not having to scan stuff in.
Does True Bridge have a clinic software?
Mm-hmm.
They do.
Mm-hmm. We had it in the clinic prior, before I was here. I don't know how well it functions. That would be somebody else talking about that. But all of the cohesive clinics have went to ECW
How
because
many-
of usability.
How many labs are we sending a day?
Let me go back to that.
Can't be too many, we only had
We're only seeing 6.65 people.
Well, but sometimes, I mean, like for me, they would just call me and say, hey, I need you to go get a lab, cause
Yeah.
it's your quarter labs.
Mm.
And I don't necessarily go in but twice a
Oh,
year.
okay.
But I'll go in and do a lab every quarter to check my A1C and everything.
Hmm.
And if everything's good, then they don't let me come in.
See if it's on my lab, on my report from my clinic. It is not on the report for the clinics, how many?
Yeah, I didn't see it.
No, mm-mm. I can start reporting that.
Well, I don't necessarily know that I need it reported. I'm just curious of how much, in their
Average,
Yeah,
again,
yeah.
4 a day,
4 day.
4 to 6 a day.
And how much time is that taking you? Like, how much time is this costing us?
To draw a patient?
No.
No, to get
take the
the,
order over.
to get the order over, make sure you got all the information.
That-
Nothing, you're already paying those
You already,
people.
yeah, I mean, those people are already there, sitting in the chair. I mean,
Okay.
we already got phlebotomists
Literally.
there, we got registrations there, clinic staff's there, everybody's already in place, and they're gonna get
You
paid
got
whether we do this
providers that
interface or
are
not.
used to other places not having to do that, that's
Yeah,
what
they're
it
looking
is. It's
at
not
two different
about their volume
systems.
or how much
Yeah.
time
They're
they've
looking
got.
in two systems and it's a
Right.
convenience
Mhm.
issue, not
Right.
a.
How about we
It's-
tell them that if they double their visits a day, we'll vote for that.
Gladly.
Bring it up.
That's
I mean,
not-
yeah, I think
is
for the
an
sake of
axiom on the
convenience,
plan.
$5,000 is a bit much in my personal opinion.
It ends up being $400 or $4 a person, basically. If you, and that's an average of 5 labs a day from the clinic. And that's assuming 7 days a week.
Yep, and we only do 5,
Yeah.
4.5,
So,
so,
well, then that would
That
put
just
it at
could
about
happen.
$4.50,
Yeah.
$4.50 to $5,
per patient.
yeah.
And we're already losing 600 though.
That's why we bring it to y'all, to talk about it.
I mean, I agree, I'd be more apt to vote for it if the numbers were increasing.
So is this something we can bring back at a later date if numbers go up?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Do we need to have a motion?
No, you can take no action on it as well. You can just take no action.
Then you'll have to take no action on 11 and 12 also. Because they go with that exact same agreement. We don't need to do 11 and 12 if we did
Well,
not
how
do the
much are they?
clinic
We
boards.
kinda need to know.
They
ahead
were
of time.
free.
Oh, okay.
They were free. They were the True Bridge, they were the True Bridge stuff.
Well, you should have led with the, you should have led with all the
But
free
I didn't
stuff.
want to talk about the free stuff and y'all approve it, and then we get to the 5,000, but like, no, well, I kinda,
You can't have the free without the 5,000.
yeah, you cannot have the free without us proving the
It's like
5,000,
Buy
so,
one, get one free.
Exactly.
Buy 5,000, you get 2 free.
yes,
Exactly.
so,
Yeah.
It's a Black Friday special.
it was, yes, I was trying, guys. I thought to myself, well, how would Corey put this in order? Okay, he's gonna put the one that's gonna cost us money first.
Okay, so we're gonna take no action on 11, 12, and 13.
No, not 13,
Nope.
10, 11, and
10,
12.
11, 12 is no action.
Oh, my apologies, 10, 11, 12, we'll see about 13. Okay, moving on to item number 13, discussion possible action to approve Care Learning third-party consent usage agreement for the education platform used by the hospital.
So Care Learning is our education platform. This, again, Cohesive has 5 hospitals. This is a $500 amount, but it's only gonna cost Mangum Hospital $100 because we're splitting it between the other 5 hospitals. As y'all know, we're getting the new Pyxis machine. This agreement will allow us to upload any, not just Pyxis. If we find any education that we want the nurses, the CNAs, the unit secretaries, the registration clerks to have, this agreement will allow us to upload that data into Care Learning's platform.
So you're going from LMS to Care Learning?
No, it's Care Learning.
It's Care Learning.
Yeah, it's Care Learning. That's just a learning management system. So we've already had it. It's only gonna cost us $100. Again, it's something we need. So even if we come up with education, we can put it on there. Right now, we cannot without this agreement.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
We could
Could've
call for a
spit
vote.
tip jar out though.
Lively,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Van Zant,
Yes.
Hopper,
Yes.
Wet.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to item number 14, discussion possible action to approve the Tecumseh Oxygen Medical Supply Agreement and for the provision and maintenance of durable medical equipment and business associate agreement.
This is just a DME vendor we are looking at working with. They are able to share some cost savings with us with our new wound vac, saving us right around $20 a day on any wound vac application over another vendor. They also are cheaper in some other aspects that we've looked at: air mattresses, SCD machines, feeding pumps. When I say $1 or $2 a day cheaper on everything than what we're currently paying on equipment that we don't have or we don't have enough of. It doesn't cost us anything unless, this says total cost of sorry guys, again, my OneDrive was so messed up. It says total cost of $500. There is no cost at all. We can do a 30-day termination notice, yes, and it's an automatic 1-year renewal. It does not cost us anything if we're not using it, but if we do use it, of course, then
So
it'll
cost
cost
of
per
the
day.
rental of the
Yep,
equipment.
the rental of the equipment.
Is it, do we not have anybody more local that we can rent from?
Currently, we use Custom Medical. There's not anybody DME size that'll be as cheap as they are, truthfully. Like when you're looking at air beds and bariatric beds, there's nobody local that does them at the rate we're getting from Tecumseh, or Custom Medical is another DME we use also.
And these are more for your swing bed patients that are there long-term.
More for our swing bed, our air mattresses, again, low air loss stuff, the Barry beds for the big patients that possibly come in for swing bed. Again, we've purchased SCDs, so we don't usually utilize these, but these are guys that can get us, if we need an extra Jerry chair, they can get us one. If something breaks, they can get us one. If we have a person that needs a CPM machine, they can get it for us, which we have one, but.
And it's no cost unless we rent it, and it's the cost of the rental.
Correct, sir. Yep.
I'd make that motion.
I'll second it.
Before, just 1 second.
A second.
He said just one second. Lively.
No, he
Apparently it's
said
on
just
pause.
1 second.
Just one second.
Who owns Tecumseh Oxygen Medical Supplier, majority stake in the company?
I've met with Rick. I don't know, I'm guessing he's the only person I've met. I can't remember. You remember Rick's last name?
So nobody from Cohesive?
You know, Cohesive, we own that company now.
Yeah, so Cohesive owns Tecumseh Oxygen and Medical Supply?
We recently purchased that. It's about $20 a daily usage fee, and that's where you save, and that's where we make up the difference. In the long run, it's a lot better deal, but even in the short run, it'll take probably, I don't know, 5 months at the most to use up the inventory that we have. And again, it's $20 a pop.
But that's why that's how we got Tecumseh. Okay.
But it's a cohesive owned entity. It used to be someone else, but it was just a recent purchase.
Okay, this is probably more of a question here. If this is something they've just acquired and they own it, and I realize we have a lot of things that go on that's under the cohesive
Mhm.
outsourcing and different things, this is all legit legally? It's legit?
You need to do bids first.
You have to do bids? That's what I would assume, but how can we vote on this if it should be under bid? Is that just because you're saying a vendor, or?
They are just a vendor, yes. And we can have as many vendors as we want to get our DME supplies. If y'all want 10, we can do 10, but
So
currently
we don't
these are-
have to like bid this out since they're a medical renting company, right?
Probably need to bid it out.
Okay, but we can sign the agreement.
You probably need to bid it out.
So bid it out, and
Yes.
then we can then look at the bids
Compare
and make a
rates and then-
decision.
yeah.
Okay.
I think we table this and
We table it, get the 3 bids, and then see what the savings is, and then
Okay,
go
so
from there.
then that's how you make sure it's all above board and everything's done correctly?
I mean, if it's an entity that's owned by the management company, it probably needs to be, and I had this conversation back a couple years ago. If it's owned by an entity that's managed the hospital, that needs to be disclosed and some sort of disclosure paperwork. Because if it is owned, we have to put it out for bids per state law.
Okay,
Okay, we can't just award contracts to the management company because of the management company.
okay.
It has to be competitive. It doesn't mean that they cannot provide services through different companies, it's just the board has to have options other than just that one.
Okay, that'll work.
But is this technically a contract?
I mean, it's a contract between us and them that we,
Okay.
it's not it's not an exclusive contract, no.
Okay.
It is not exclusive, we have to use
So
them.
it still falls under that?
Yes,
Okay, gotcha.
it's kinda like when we did the staffing agreement, we approved 3 staffing agreements, one way back when.
And I'm gonna say, I've always been pro cohesive in the hospital. However, I know we've had a discussion at least about a year ago, specifically over this topic, if cohesive was, because I'll tell you, I feel misled that I made that motion, not knowing this, that cohesive was the owner of the entity. Because I wouldn't have made that motion, and there's nothing in here, in the information, when I read through it, that indicated cohesive was the owner of it, and I feel like that puts us in jeopardy.
I understand.
And you were, and I'll say, you were not here at
Yeah.
the time during those discussions. I think, Clayton was here during that time. I just,
And I'll sit in that chair with that conversation.
I feel, this feels a little dirty to me.
I understand. I understand
Well,
how that.
and all I would ask, and I mean, I think we'd probably get a better deal since it is owned by Cohesive.
yeah,
And I would
absolutely.
probably be happily agree to this, and actually I feel more reassured if it's owned by Cohesive. But if you guys in the future would just say, hey, just FYI, this is owned by Cohesive, or this is people, I have to disclose if I sit on this board in other businesses.
Aren't they, isn't it required somewhere to make that statement that,
There's supposed to be a disclosure, yes.
yeah, okay. So
It's
just
kinda like-
every other place has to make those disclosure statements that we have a stake in this company.
The closest analog that I can think of off the top of my head is back, when Jeff Good was the fire chief. Jeff Good also did pretty much all of the wrecking and body work for the city of Macon. But but since he was a city employee, that was all done by bid and all that other stuff. And that's kind of what it just needs to go, it just needs to be that disclosure. And that Jeff Good was so unique because he was the only time worker service at the time within so many miles. But anyway, that's kind of all it is. It's like, it's not a no, but you have to have that disclosure, and then you have to have that bid process so that we know that we're getting,
Well,
The
it
best.
doesn't,
How
it
many
doesn't
other
look preferable.
disclosures do we have?
I think, last time we had that conversation, my understanding was we were well aware. I mean, if it's been since then, I want to be able to know that.
Yeah, but I don't know that anybody else would know what kind of,
Is there any other
Yeah, that's-
legal business entities that we have contracts with that are owned by Cohesive?
The only ones I know is the staffing company that I know of.
And the matter right there.
Yeah, the MedRide, the Cohesive
well, I thought we
MedRide.
had something to do with the foreign bunch that was, third-party billing or something along that line.
I haven't been I haven't been formally told that. I know we work with
Who's on
them.
the phone here?
Robin, Cindy,
Does anybody know about that one on the line? It's med
Technically,
billing.
that's to keep everybody.
Are you asking for a list of the companies that Cohesive owns that you would utilize?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
No, that we are utilizing.
that we are utilizing, yes.
I think it's just 2.
Okay, so I think you listed them, the MediRide, medical transport, we own the staffing solutions, we own home health, but I don't think you guys utilize that.
We don't yet.
Tecumseh Oxygen, we did just purchase a few months ago. Rick Gage, the previous owner, has owned it for about 10, 15 years, and he is still running it. And then we are a non-voting minority stakeholder in ERCM, which is the rev cycle.
So that is the billing company, yes.
That's okay.
That is the billing company. Okay.
So then we already have agreements then with MediRide and
Yes,
all these others.
yes.
So was this just an oversight?
I think, yeah, I'll speak, I don't know if they could hear you well.
It was not disclosed that Cohesive owned that?
Yes.
Yes, it would have been. I mean, we've
Just an
never-
accidental
we've never
oversight?
been, quiet about what we've owned. And I apologize that, you know, it did feel kind of dirty, for the presentation. But, yeah, we certainly would not have, I mean, we always try to be transparent with any of that information.
And one additional note is that I believe Mangone has been using Tecumseh in the past, but in our contract review, we did not find an agreement, and so we submitted agreement after Cohesive purchased the entity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I get why you did it. I just, for us, or for at least for me, who made the motion, I would have liked to have known that prior to making a motion. Cause I'm going back through making sure I didn't miss something, and I'm looking at the agreement again, and I
It's not
don't
there.
see
No.
anywhere in there.
It's not there.
We just need a,
It probably wasn't in the agreement, because we're not changing the name or anything on it, so, I apologize, but the contract would be directly with Tecumseh Oxygen, but we do own that now.
Okay.
So I think we just tabled this.
Well, we have a motion and a second.
just, you can rescind
Oh.
your table, your motion.
Maybe we can call for a vote at this time.
I want to vote on it, because we gotta get bids and stuff. You might want to, I would just say you withdraw the motion,
Okay.
is what I would do.
I would withdraw my motion.
And that way you can take no action on it. Then that way they can go through the,
Proper channels.
get three vendors, find out
vendors.
the cross, and then y'all can decide which one
Okay.
is you wanna enter into with, you know, the disclosure of it. And I mean, if that's, just in the future on those contracts, just say Tecumseh and just denote subsidiary of, or whatever.
Okay.
You know, that way,
We'll do
it's
that.
just right there in the
I'll-
first paragraph.
Okay, you want me to put it in the paragraph of the contract or on the summary sheet? What would y'all like? Where does it need to be?
Both
Probably
would
in
be
the
nice.
contract,
In the
for sure,
contract.
because that's, you know, it says the parties, Mason City Hospital,
Process.
and it says Tecumseh.
Can we not have it on the summary sheet?
I can put it on the summary sheet too, but I just asked where he wanted it the most.
Well, I just want it
I
blaring.
would think the disclosure statement would go on the contract and the other would go on the summary sheet. That's just personal
Okay.
That's all,
opinion.
you just
Okay,
denote it.
we can absolutely do that.
Okay, did you guys formally, did you?
Yeah, I rescind.
So no action.
Okay, so we're gonna take, no action, then on item number 14, moving on to item number 15, discussion possible action to approve the business associate agreement between Mangum Regional Medical Center and
Signer.
Signer EMS Transport Services to and from the hospital.
This was a BAA that we had on the last, and we skipped over it. It's just for EMS services that provide transport. This covers them, their HIPAA and our HIPAA. That's all it is. It's just a business associate agreement, so it covers us legally. No exclusivity to this. It's just so we can utilize them, and we check all the boxes for CMS.
Signer hasn't been bought out recently, has it?
Not lately, no, not lately. She is still the proud owner of Signer EMS. I don't know if she's proud, but she's still the owner.
Okay.
She used to be based out of Sayre.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was owned by her and her husband.
I've
Yeah.
seen it go
Yeah.
down the road, but I just didn't
Mhm.
know if it was that over at
Yeah.
Altus or whatever.
No, they're at Sayre, Clinton, Hobart.
I was thinking Holbert.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's almost, man.
Mm-hmm. You don't want them here.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
We don't
What's
have
this
here.
agreement?
Thomas?
I'll second the motion.
For like your EMS
Call for a
service.
vote at this time, please.
Okay.
We're good with our EMS service. Our EMS service is really good right now.
That was throwing me
We
off.
could call for a vote. We've got a motion and a second.
Yes.
I was spinning.
Yes.
Van Zandt.
Yes.
Hopper.
Yes.
Webb.
Yes.
Okay, just moving on to item number 16, discussion and possible action to approve ACH authorization form from the current vendor of Nuance Communications due to changes in their payment policies.
They no longer, 2023, come to find out, they no longer accepted checks, but they've been taking checks for over a year and a half. And they sent us a notice that, hey, we're not gonna take your checks anymore for your Dragon. This is Dragon, so we need approval to have it ACH from the account. Since they won't take checks.
And it's the $202.
It's $202 a month, and that's for the 2 clinic providers to be able to have Dragon in the facility. And a third license to where if we have a third person come in, they will have an extra license.
And it was something we were already paying for, we're
Yep.
just paying a different way.
We're just paying a different way. Our policy is the board has to approve all ACHs, is why we bring it to y'all.
I'd make that motion.
Also save money on the check.
Lively.
Yes.
Ford.
Yes.
Van Zandt.
Yes.
Hopper.
Yes.
Webb.
Yes.
Item number 17, discussion and possible action on why payroll checks are being processed a year or more late.
So this is kind of what Dennis has talked about over and over. These are for invoices for Cohesive Staffing. We're right around a year behind. So we just got caught up today with checks for going to November 2023. Cohesive's already paid the checks, paid the employees. We are just trying to get caught up from the hospital side, and yes, we are about a year behind.
So sorry.
No, you're fine. You may ask the same thing I am.
So the question that I have is, obviously, your staff is being paid. That's
Absolutely.
not the question, because nobody's waiting a year to get paid.
No way.
That's not even being insinuated.
No.
Your staff actually ought to have the highest satisfaction rate ever, considering patient ratios and pay rate and everything else.
We agree.
But that's a whole different story. How is payroll being current? Because these invoices are being paid from a year ago, but your payroll is current. So is this like a revolving loan that just keeps going deeper and deeper, or what's happening?
I will let Dennis and Adrian answer that.
Yeah, the short version is, and it's a great question, is this, kind of redundant, but, we pay every vendor's invoice in full. I don't think we have anything aged out for everyone else. And in order to, again, pay off the debt from the IRS loans and everything, from the, ERS loans, from Medicare and everything, obviously, we couldn't pay every vendor, which means we're the ones that haven't been paid. So the invoices that we are paying today, and you try to keep everything at least no later than a year, but in doing that, we've had to pay, again, everyone else. So these are the invoices that are the last invoices and the latest invoices that we have. So when we pay our invoices, in order to try to keep everything as current as we can, we pay the oldest invoices first. And that's what we'll continue to do.
So,
So we're always going to pay whatever the oldest invoice is out there for Cohesive that hasn't been paid. And sometimes we have to switch between, we try to keep all of them, so we have the management fee invoices, we have the staffing invoices, and sometimes we have to pay one or pay part of the other or part of both. But that's what we try to do, and that's why you're seeing that. That's how far behind we are in paying our own invoices.
so I'm a little confused then, because
Sure.
the loan that we're paying back monthly,
Mm-hmm.
that funds or those monies weren't a part of that loan that we're paying off monthly?
No, those were in excess of that. Keep in mind, it was like, I go back, but I think it was over $10 million
Right.
in principal and interest alone for those ERS debts. So you have what we took out the loan for, and it was nowhere near that amount. I've got it somewhere. Adrian, I think, has it there and shows the balance every month. And then we also have what we've incurred that wasn't wrote into a loan. And those were what we're trying to keep as current or within a year, so we don't ever have to take out another loan, if at all possible. It's a fair cut. The good part is you're reviewing it, and you're looking at it, and you're asking those questions. So I appreciate that, and that's exactly what it is, though.
Okay, but you didn't actually answer how payroll is staying current. Because I understand how the invoices are being paid and why they're backdated to a year. But how is payroll staying current then? Because again, nobody's waiting a year to get paid, and you're paying people
Cohesive's
every 2
paying,
weeks.
Cohesive's paying it. Cohesive's
Well,
paying it.
the monies that we do collect, be it for part of the management fee or whatever, we're using to pay our staffing. So that's what we pay them every, it depends, some of them get paid every 2 weeks. I think there's some that get paid every week, but we pay them every week.
So,
So that amount is reflected on the financial summary on that page at the bottom with the cohesive loan, the 4,993. That's what that is.
but that's what I just asked, and
No,
No, that's
that's separate.
management fees.
that 4 million is management fees, that's not
That's not this.
this.
That's not that.
Well, yeah, how is it reflected on the financials then?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Because like today, when checks were signed, the invoices were from September, October, and November
Correct.
of 2023.
Correct.
And it was nursing and therapy, as far as staffing.
It's gonna be in that accounts payable cohesive line. So that's the current within 1 year total on that line of disability. It's like,
So accounts payable,
Cohesive.
so that is.
So
what
that is management fees and,
And payroll, that's your, any cohesive is in that line, anything to cohesive.
why, I'm just curious, because it makes sense to me doing it this way. Why would we not have combined everything and sort of started with a zero balance and making a loan payment to cohesive as opposed to accruing something a year later? To me, it seems like we got two different things happening. We've got the management fees that we have a payment each month that we signed a agreement with, and then we have this other, right, and we have this other, that's the 4,000, the almost 5 million. And then the other, why would we not have included in that to sort of start out fresh where we could start paying as opposed to cohesive?
Because we wasn't in a position to pay until April of this year. Because in April, June of this year is when we paid off the ERS loans.
Right, and I understand
Because
that.
basically, if you look, I think it was, it's about the same amount, the amount we owe cohesive in that ERS debt. Because that ERS debt was roughly $10 million was paid. So all of our money went to pay that. And so cohesive basically gave us an unsecured loan to float payroll and all that other stuff. So we're now paying back what they afforded to us, now that the ERS loan gets paid.
So it's basically a second loan.
It is, but it's not called a loan, because there's cost reporting issues that have to go into that. Management fees are treated differently on a cost report than salary. Management fees have to be liquidated, or they'd have to come out of the cost report, thereby necessitating us to repay back that. By reducing the management portion into a loan, it's liquidating it for cost report purposes. Therefore, we continue to get credit for that while we pay it back later. Salaries, has it been paid, it's been paid, we get to keep it. It's just we never signed anything that says it's a loan. It's just, but they were able to operate the hospital to keep us basically flush in a way in which instead of them paying millions each month to keep us floating, it's hundreds of thousands. Because it being a critical access hospital, it is by design going to lose money each month. And that's why most are subsidized. This one's not subsidized. It has to be subsidized by somebody. It just happens to be subsidized by Cohesive with the expectation that come cost report time, that money brings us to flush. But because of the mismanagement from previous management companies, we were $10 million in the hole. So instead of our cost report money coming back to us to keep us flush, we had to use our cost report money to pay back $10 million of Medicare debt, plus 10% interest on that. So that's kind of the nutshell.
And I understand that. So what's the ask from us today?
Oh, this
I
was
don't
added
think
by
there's
y'all.
not asked.
This was just an explanation of why.
I wanted clarification.
Okay.
Clarification why old invoices was.
Yeah,
being
we're
paid.
on the check runs. That's why.
So, again, I would just ask when things like we add those types of things, maybe an explanation to us,
Mhm.
because I was really confused. Again,
I
because
Well, it
that's
wasn't
the,
worded exactly correct.
yeah, I mean,
It made it look like they were not paying their
well, that's,
employees.
and that's
Yes.
And that's
honestly what
why I
I
made the
thought.
that's why I made the statement that I made, because that is
Yeah.
not an indication
No.
or
No.
an
No.
accusation
It was just
at
a
all.
question, just a
But
question.
now with the ERS paid off, the Medicaid debt paid off, all that excess money is gonna go to pay off that money that Cohesive,
Which, can we get an approximate total that is?
yeah,
So
it's that
does-
$10 million, I think.
So does that mean that in theory, with the ERS debt being paid off, that we should be able to dig out of the loan hole quicker?
Right
Yes.
under,
Yes.
right under 10 million, like 500.
So,
Yeah.
and you're looking at that in the aging's table here.
If you subtract you take the 13,954 and subtract the 4,962 from the cohesive loan,
Mhm.
That's about 9 million.
yeah, about
And so-
9,900,000.
That's how much money that they just put in our facility to keep it open.
Right.
Because I think a lot of people forget that there was times that hospitals were generating zero, because our Medicare money was turned off and stuff like that. And during those times, 100% of the money that went to the facility did come from Cohesive. So yes, that ballooned, but we couldn't pay it back until the ERS debt was paid off, which has now been paid off. So the expectation should be that amount should shrink every month.
So we should see a shrink this month because y'all paid, or we paid,
What was
Cohesive
it, Dennis?
back.
The target amount per week went up to 245,000 to Cohesive from. what was it?
225. 225.
So then basically in a month, we should see an expectation of $1 million drop.
225,
You said a week?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's about that's $1 million a month.
No,
Not the increase.
you're increasing $20,000 a week. $20,000 a week, so 20,000 times 52 would be.
Okay, I misunderstood. I thought you said 225,000.
No, they're paying 225 a month, 225,
A week.
and they're increasing it to 245. So they're increasing it by 20,000 a week.
And this is an actual cash. It's not just on the books.
Yeah, that is cash coming out of the bank to
Mhm.
pay
So when you look at the effect
So it's a-
of those years when we were in the
Yeah.
wilderness, it was not only the 10 million that's been paid back
Yeah.
to Medicare, you add this 9 at least
Yeah.
to it, which is massive. That's massive. And
So,
everybody here and Cohesive is paying for it,
so you're
right?
saying
Am
that
am I stating that
I
correctly?
think so,
current
yeah.
payroll is
Yes.
225,000 a week.
it's not payroll, it's how much is being paid to Cohesive.
Cohesive management fee and.
Well, I know, but the manage,
And we're not paying the management fee 4 times, it's just paying off Cohesive invoices to keep it within that year.
Yes.
So it could be a staffing invoice, it could be the older healthcare resources invoices, it's just any total.
Which is
But
more
that falls-
important as to why we have said that this staffing is ridiculous. Because we just keep getting further and further in debt. I know it sounds great to have 3 nurses per 1 patient out there, but we can't afford it.
We've got to pay down this
Because
debt.
we need this debt gone.
so I just,
But
I am
don't-
so confused.
Okay, they're gonna pay themselves an extra $1 million a year.
I know that, that's not what I'm trying to understand. Is that coming, so the 225, so with the accounts payable cohesive, that 13,954,000,
Yes.
is that everything that you're saying that we're paying on that 225,000?
That is all staffing, all management fee, all healthcare resources before they move to staffing. So that is everything Cohesive, not just the management fee of
Right.
225,000.
But that, so
And
then
that's
that,
a year's worth, that's currently everything we owe, Mango, the hospital owes to Cohesive, that is a year. And
So I guess the question is, how long, I just
well,
skip the methodology and get to the result.
yeah,
When is that debt in theory supposed to be paid off? I think is what the question is. Okay.
Just for the four.
No, the
No.
whole amount.
whole of
The
it?
13,954,000.
Is Dennis or I?
But that doesn't compute if we're paying 225,000 a week. That's $1 million a month to the
Yeah.
net.
And they're going, yeah, but to pay an extra.
But we also have the current.
Do we have that much money that coming in?
But that's not the what I'm understanding.
But somewhere they're adding 20.
So what I understand is the current bill is $220 a month. We're paying $240 a month.
No, there's, no,
Or is it 200,000 a month? And we're
the
paying
week,
220?
they're paying
A week.
We're paying $245 a
week.
week to Cohesive.
Okay,
Yeah.
and we
A
owe,
week to Cohesive.
Right, and we owe 13,954,000.
Yes, sir.
If we're paying two,
Plus
yeah,
the loan.
plus the loan.
Plus
Well,
the
that,
loan.
okay, so 18 million. Okay, then that doesn't then I'm completely confused from what we were just talking about. Because my understanding is that 13 million, if I took out that loan, is what gave us that 10 million.
yeah.
You're telling me something different.
So he's saying, if he's saying, what you understood a while ago, if we took this 4,962,000 from the 13, that gives us the 9 million that they're paying back to Cohesive. This is not added together. The 4,000,009 is in the 13,900,000. Is it not, is
I
it,
guess I don't understand the 10. The 10 was the
Was-
EMS loan.
was what
Yeah.
Cohesive, yes. Is this the remainder of what we, of the 10?
Yes.
The 4,900,000 is the remainder of the 10, what's left of
Yes,
the 10
sorry.
million.
But how,
Give me a second to get there. Let me pull up the.
how does that 13,954,000, how does that fit into that cohesive loan? It's separate or it's the same?
Completely separate.
Okay, so then, on top of that, say 5 million, then we owe an additional 14 million. Okay, so, and again, I'm just trying to understand, if I'm gonna round it down to $225,000 a week is what we're paying, right?
Yes.
250.
Yes, 250.
225 gives me $1 million a month that we're paying back. That's $12 million in a year. So then theoretically, between that 14 and 5, which is 19,000, we will have paid off 12 million of that in 1 year's time.
Yes, but you gotta remember that you're also accruing more.
Okay, that's what I was asking.
Yes.
Okay, so,
Every payroll, every contract labor invoice is going back up as well.
so cohesive
you're
is
paying
covering
more,
it.
but it's also going up.
So that's why we had a net increase of 679,000 between September and October. Even though we paid something, it's still, we had more coming in than we had going out,
Yes,
or going out than coming in.
Correct.
yes.
Okay, that makes more sense. I just wasn't understanding, it was my understanding they were combined.
I'm assuming also if you have a month where you don't have the cash to do that,
Yes, and
That's
then-
just-
yes,
you
and that's
just
something
wait.
Nicole is doing at corporate, is looking, with Dennis, is looking at our cash position and seeing, can we pay this amount to
Mhm.
Cohesive this week?
Right.
So,
So that,
they are constantly monitoring that.
so that 23 days that we talked about in the beginning, we really don't have the 23.2 days, I mean, because we owe that to Cohesive. Okay.
And that's what I'm saying, the deficit has to be made up through cost reporting or subsidizing it.
Okay.
So
makes
that
so
means
much
you do
more
that,
sense now.
so
That's
that's,
okay.
that's kind of where you're at. You know, it's kind of like the city pays $12 a month
Right.
to subsidize the EMS. Well, Cohesive subsidized the hospital, of course. I mean, I hate to put it that way, but that's
Well,
what's
that,
happening.
I do understand that, I was
Yeah.
just, my confusion was around the two numbers.
Gotcha.
And so I appreciate you clarifying that for me, that was very helpful.
You know, I think I can put something together from a very high level that maybe makes it a little easier to follow, but there's a couple of things going on. It's not just the ERS debt that's been repaid and that was incurred. You know, you can go back to 2019 and spread it across, and you've got about $16 million in losses. And every vendor's invoice has their cost, okay, plus their profit. Every and what we paid every single month, the best we possibly could, is not only every vendor's cost, but their profit. Okay, we paid all the payroll costs to those individuals. What we haven't been able to pay, obviously, without building up an AP, whether you want to call it a debt or AP, because really all it is AP rolled into a debt, is 100% of our invoices over all this time. And even today, we've gotten something down where in 2019, it was $6 million, I can show you. And your annualized loss today is just over $1 million. Well, somebody's still not getting paid, right? You know, which is, in this instance, 100% of Cohesive invoices. But I think I can probably maybe put something together from a very high level that maybe helps it and articulates it a little bit better. But that's the short version and the best I know. So it is a combination of things. It's not just all the ERS debt and the Medicare interest that wasn't allowed on the cost report and all that. It's the accumulation of losses along the way too, to get at this. If you want to go back to 3 years ago, and I've got the number right here in front of me, the hospital had, at that time, we were down to $75,033.87. And Medicare had turned off the water. So that was 3 years ago today.
Was that 21?
And I say that because I emphasize that part because, you know, everything's kind of relative. We absolutely want to be able to make it, help you and decipher and make as much sense, because this is very complicated and it's counterintuitive. But I also don't want to lose sight of where we were. Again, I'll think through something that I can put together very high level that maybe you'll have and you can hang on to and refer back to that might be useful to you to show how we got from where we were to where we are today.
I don't necessarily need that. Your explanation was fine for me. I just needed to wrap my head around it. I'm well aware of where we were. I just needed to be able to wrap my head around understanding the numbers in your sheet so that I knew this was separate than this and it wasn't something that I would subtract to get that. So I appreciate that. I think I'm fine. I'm fine. I don't know about everybody else, but I'm fine knowing that.
Well, thank you, but I'm happy to do that. It's not a big problem whatsoever, so thank you.
Yeah, I think that would be a great thing to have though for our meeting that we'll be having in January. With our special meeting with the city council. I think that would be very helpful to other people who may not be in the loop or used to some of these figures. It could be incredibly helpful to have those things ready to go, explaining where we've been and where we're at currently.
When is that meeting?
If it's in January, it's the 28th is what Cody gave us.
Yeah.
Well, that's ours, but the last time it was gonna be met with, on the city council's time.
I think they were gonna put on the city council meeting.
Oh,
Yeah, just gotta let us know so I can make sure Godwin and Dennis are here.
When is that
Yeah.
scheduled?
First Tuesday.
So the first Tuesday in January.
Yeah, I'll verify, but it should be the 7th.
Okay,
I'll send out an email and let you know.
thank you.
that'd be great.
Can I ask what time on the 7th?
6 o'clock is in the city meeting.
6, okay.
Glad you
I'm in
brought that up.
I'm in
That
Shaw-
reminds me what to talk about here in a minute.
Yeah, I'm in Shawnee that day, so that's why.
The meeting.
I think I'll be joining you.
Shawnee?
You
don't
need a
wanna-
driver?
You don't want to be in Shawnee, I
Think-
promise.
I think God will move to Shawnee, so you could just go to his house for it.
Dial up.
Okay, so, no action taken on item number 17, is that what we
Yeah,
need to
it
put?
was just a discussion.
Discussion.
Again, it was written, yeah, it was
Okay.
just a discussion.
Moving on to, are we needing to go into executive session with nothing else to?
There's nobody listed.
Fine. That's
don't think we can.
Not if it's not on our agenda.
I thought it was weird that it was
I
on that.
pasted it straight on.
Usually,
Your OneDrive did not like you this month.
Man, it,
Well, it was on the email that you sent me, and I copied it onto.
yeah, I got 8 people on there, 9.
well, we don't,
Hold on,
can we
let's
go
see.
into executive session, Corey, and?
No,
There's nobody to discuss.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not on the agenda, it didn't get posted.
It's too, for an individual, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
We didn't,
Hold on, we gotta go through some other stuff.
and we didn't,
I agree with Cheryl though.
we didn't talk about changing the date of the
I know,
December
it's
meeting.
I'm with you, though.
just jokes.
Okay. Do we have any staff board remarks then?
Yes, or staff and board remarks, does us need to talk about, okay. So we are not, for December meeting, our December board meeting is supposed to be December 17th.
We are not gonna be able to have quality, med staff, and financials by that time, because they'll have to be to Cody on the 10th. So just so y'all know, those will not be in your packet if we still meet on the 17th. It was talked about, we could, and again, can we move our meeting?
If you want to, I mean, that's up to y'all, it'd be special at that point.
And we can have like the regular agenda on the special,
Except for new business.
no new business, so. We could move it to the 30th, that was proposed earlier. I don't know if everybody's in favor of that, it's on a Monday instead of a Tuesday, can we do that still too? Okay. We didn't know, you weren't here, so we were like, we gotta ask Corey.
Just don't have to post the agenda 48 hours ahead of time. You can have it whenever you want.
I mean, could we not do the financials and everything else on the next scheduled
Yeah,
meeting?
in January, yeah. We just need y'all's approval, letting y'all know that you're gonna have 2 of those in January. You'll have 2 quality, 2 2 quality, 1 med staff.
We used to get 2 or 3. So it's all
We are
good.
not having a medical staff in December, but you will have 2 qualities in January and 2 financials in January, if y'all are okay with that.
I mean, that makes more sense to me.
And keep the board meeting the 17th, that's fine with us. We just wanted to know how y'all wanted it.
It looks like, I mean, just looking at the next year's schedule, it looks like you'd have very similar issues in November and December next year.
Yeah,
I think we always wind up with this problem.
yeah. Because of the holidays.
I could just abandon y'all's trust indenture and have it on a day other than the first to the 4th Tuesday, but
Well, that's not, the November's not on the 4th Tuesday. It's on the 3rd.
well, they moved it up a week, so it's not in the week of Thanksgiving.
Another question was posed was changing the time. Everybody, I mean, can we do that also? Like in general, from 5 to 6 o'clock, if they want to meet later? Again, that's y'all's decision.
I would prefer it, but I know not everybody here.
I'll just put a message.
I'll just tell you from my standpoint, it's very difficult. I mean, the only reason I got here timely today is I'm off this week. So I wouldn't mind having it during Thanksgiving week because I take off Thanksgiving week. And we just sit at home, but it's hard for me to get here. My workday ends at 5. If I'm in Altus,
Gotcha, we understood.
it's like I have to leave work early to get here. If I'm in Shawnee,
It was really early.
yeah.
Again, this is for y'all's meeting, so it's y'all's, up to y'all.
Six is also better for me, but.
6 is also better for me.
Well, who was the 5 better for?
Cheryl?
No, it wasn't. No.
Because every time, besides today, I stress about getting here.
Again, it's up to y'all, y'all's meeting.
7 is too late. I will say
7 is
Yeah.
way
7 is
too
too
late.
late.
Six
Would
is-
5:30 be helpful?
I mean, 5:30 would be helpful. I mean, it's, if I'm in Altus at 5:30, I can leave at 5 and be here by 5:30. That's not an
That's
issue.
the same thing with me. That would be helpful to me.
5:30 is also fine, but I'm just coming.
Split the
from my house.
difference. We can compromise.
You're still gonna be late?
No, surely there ain't that much traffic in Mango.
I mean,
I don't know.
Did that funeral.
The only bit
Carson,
of,
Well, if I'm missing.
don't be bringing a procession down Adams.
Yeah. No, I will next time.
I just like, I mean, it don't matter to me when y'all do it, but
So do we have to make a motion
as long
for
as it's
this,
not
or
7.
is this just a decision?
Well, I don't
to make?
disagree.
Do we
7's
motion
late.
for it?
Seven's too late, actually.
7's too late. because
I think the
these
reason it
meetings
got
go
moved
3
to
hours.
5 was kind of to be somewhat, that way nobody goes home, I guess.
Well, and for your staff, people,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
more convenient, for sure.
Yeah.
Cody don't have anything to do.
Do we have to make a
I mean,
motion, or do we just, is
5:30
this
would
just
be
an
a good
agreement?
compromise.
That's what I was thinking.
Y'all
I would-
probably need a, I mean, you can't do it now, but
I'll put it on the agenda for December.
then you could, yeah,
Okay.
Cool.
then you kind of adopt a resolution, changes the time.
Okay.
As long as your OneDrive is fixed.
Also, just, got confirmation, y'all's special meeting will be, January 7th.
January 7th. Okay.
Yes.
Oh,
Six.
okay, cool.
And we will have this credentialing for, on the December 17th stuff.
Great.
the 8 p.m.
Sorry, I don't know what happened.
Again, my OneDrive was acting stupid. I sent you all kinds of stuff. I don't know what's going on with it.
Not December 6th, no, it is 17th,
Yeah,
sorry.
December 17th.
I was in 2025.
We'll have the new provider on there, Dr. Terry, PRN, and then re-credentialing for Dr. Sheftelli, Terry Gibson, Mary Barnes. I'll have, and we might, you got Casey on here? Call her and make sure that we're not gonna be, we don't need to have a special meeting for that.
Oh. I'm sure we will. I can hear Kay already.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cause y'all
So are
didn't
we
get this
just
done
sort
right
of-
off the bat, y'all,
Yeah.
y'all
Or
didn't
we
get
just-
this
We
done?
gotta make a motion
Get
to,
on.
Can we, I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn for the night.
Sure, I already made it. We've been adjourned over here for a long time.
That's what I wondered.
Well, I'd like to second that motion.
Is,
What was yours?
I was just gonna say, is the joint meeting the best format for us to have a, what I'm hearing as an educational meeting?
I don't think we have a choice.
You can't just have a education for board members type going back discussion?
so we did a couple when I was on the commission. It's helpful when it is a joint session, just because,
I mean, it's up to her.
we have the ability to provide information as well as they have the ability to ask questions, and we can ask questions.
And because they're both public boards, you have to post a meeting for both, so.
Yeah.
I mean, if we showed up together, sitting in this room, it's sort of like we have a quorum.
So I mean, at Jackson, we had educational meetings for the board once a year or something, where we went over that kind of thing and what, what items on the financials mean and that sort of thing, and they weren't.
Well, but if we were there, then
Uh-huh.
we have a quorum.
We've had actual board meetings where we've done that on the
There were
hospital.
no
It was an agenda item on the
Yeah,
agenda.
there were no decisions made. This was just educational.
I'm
about the
overly
situation.
cautious.
Yeah, okay.
That's
I
my-
just wonder, I didn't want it to be a.
We've had it on the agenda before.
Yeah.
And we had it, I think Cohesive even catered it. And
That way
we
you're
had
not-
it educated.
It's
I
not a
just-
Nice plug there,
contentious.
buddy.
Yeah.
Nice
yeah.
plug.
Well, jail got it done. How about that?
Okay, okay, wow, here we go.
I just don't want anybody to ever accuse us of having private meetings without posting.
I get it, I get it.
So I just always say post something if all of you are gonna be there.
I think they're gonna bring it up on the 17th, about changing to 5:30. But
Yeah, we
have to
it'll
pass
be
a
for
resolution.
25, not.
But I think that would be great, like, even to go over, like, what the duties and responsibilities we have as board members are, what our legal obligations are.
Absolutely, all
Isn't
of
that
those
book I
things.
gave you before?
I've never received this
This
book.
I've
Yes,
not-
you,
I've not
everybody
either.
has got it.
I haven't gotten
You
it.
don't
Have you got my signed release form
No.
of this book?
I have not. I have not.
I
I've
do
gotten
need
no
a
book.
copy of the bylaw since we're talking, just in case the state shows up, because I was supposed to have a copy of something for the bylaw.
Gonna go get
Okay,
your
so
book.
now we adjourn.
Well, we have.
No, we gotta take a vote.
Okay.
Who was first and who was second?
Lively was first, Carson was second.
Okay. Lively,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Van Zant,
Yes.
Hopper,
Yes.
Webb.
Yes.
Okay, we're still meeting the seventeenth at 5.
No, we're
We
not.
have to have a quorum
No,
the
we're not.
17th, or we're gonna have to have a meeting before, well,